Hey.
Oh no, plenty of people say that here. You shouldn't be saying it
But
here.
when you say you want them roasted, it means something very different.
Oh, that's a pig's heart, liver, and okay, I think I would pass on that.
Nothing
What?
wrong with a pig's heart
What
and
do you
liver.
think a sausage is?
Sausage is just made of happiness.
You've learned
Yes.
not to ask how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, it is
They have a
pig.
special casing that holds happiness.
Yeah, it's a special casing that comes from within the pig to hold parts of the pig.
Yes. The nice parts of the
It will
pig.
technically hold some of the bits of the pig that,
Dear me.
when they're not ground up into bits of mince.
A lovely bit of offal.
It's alright, we'll give you some tripe with it and it'll be fine.
What?
That is a bit too far, Navis.
So,
Oh, God, no one
okay,
wants to try.
most of my vegetarian audience have now passed out, so,
We'll bring
So,
it
off to the haggis we go then.
so my father is cursing my existence right now. He's a vegan, in case you were wondering what I was talking about there. Yeah,
Oh
okay.
no,
Very
vegans,
crazy.
Vegans don't deserve the time of the earth. We love meat.
Okay, okie dokie.
Meat.
Right, okay, so, folks in on Foundry, it looks like you are. Everyone seems to be lined up and activated. Can I just get you guys to confirm that you can actually still access your character sheets by double-clicking on them? I haven't updated anything yet, but you never know when a sneaky restart might have mucked something up. So if everyone has got... There goes Alex. Then here comes Alex again.
No, my graphics card literally stopped updating and then the whole screen flashed. I think.
Oh, I see. Okay, no. Alright then. That's the
I'll
other
wait
thing.
for it
so
to reload.
updates of systems. Right, I take it that everyone then has been able to access their tokens okay. Taking that as a resounding yes. Okay, nice. And everybody who wants to hear Sirenscape is hearing something from it.
Only the voices.
That's that's what I hope. As long as it's my voice and and you know the crew's voices. If it's other voices, then I advise you to take your medication.
Kill.
The voices want me to kill. Is this the time? Tell me, voices. No, actually, I shouldn't poke fun.
Voices?
I did know a guy who suffered from schizophrenic. What do they call it? Psychosis. It was pretty mild,
You know
but.
You know what? Now this is gonna sound crazy. I do hear voices. I'm not schizophrenic. They told me it was from PTSD from the war.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Well, it doesn't impair my life or anything. It's just like I'll hear people whispering or like talking, and I had to like it's scared. Like, who's that? Who's there? And then I'm like, oh yeah,
the war. Then I was like, Jesus, I didn't think you were involved in the Second World War.
I was in Desert Storm.
Kudos
It was
and
Kittimer
respect.
experience.
The Kittimer experience. let's try and keep it in universe. Okay, so if everybody is signed in and everything's okay, then I shall turn off the intro music. And I shall cancel the ship rumble as we stride ever so briefly over to the intro video, and we shall be back in a couple of moments, folks. So everybody be sure to get those coughs, those mutters, those mumbles, and whatever out the way now. Me. There we go. All right then, we will see you in a few short moments whilst we warm up for the encore. See you in a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Fat slags.
That was spectacular timing there.
That's something I remember. It was in like a paper I was looking at. Oh, and page 3, girl.
It's the sun.
Did you get the new Star Trek book?
One moment. They're listening, you see. Second edition Star Trek Adventures. See, the voices were talking again.
You gotta work on your subliminal.
Right, welcome everybody to the continuing adventures of the USS Navis. I am MJ the GM and I shall be your GM for the next couple of hours. To answer Mike's question, yes, I have gotten second edition of Star Trek Adventures.
Yay!
Currently working my way through it, so yes. As for when we of the Navis will be venturing into updating our system to use the second edition, not sure yet. It doesn't make any sense for us to convert mid-episode, so we certainly won't be doing it right the heck now. And I need also a bit of time to go through it and to see how they've updated some of the talents, and the bit I'm really looking forward to is seeing how they've updated ships and ship combat. But I haven't quite got there yet. I only got my copy yesterday and I started reading it today, so we will see how long it takes us. But we will choose a time as to when we convert over to second edition. So I leave it up to folks. I mean, you should all now have access to my Dropbox folder if you want to have a look yourselves to see if you are good with the changes that were made, and if so, we can discuss when we're going to turn over to the new system. But in the meantime, we will stick, at least in regards to this episode specifically, with sticking to first edition rules. Interestingly enough, as well as Star Trek Adventures doing second edition, another sci-fi role-playing game that is going to be bringing out its second edition soon is Alien.
Yes.
Just when I thought I couldn't, I didn't need to buy any more Alien RPG books. They're now releasing second edition, which makes me gonna have to buy them all over again. So, thanks, Free League. No, seriously, thanks, Free League. What was that, Alex?
That is generally how it works. You'll keep buying the same edition, so the same books over and over.
Yes, and that's how Wizards of the Coast work generally.
Yeah, but we
Not
know that
Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Yeah, we're on like edition. Yeah, re-released sort of like 46 times and people still buy it.
Yeah.
Now with new fluffy toy edition. Oh.
Yes,
Re-released with
indeed.
horse armor special.
Okay. Right. So, I mean, the only other thing I've got in regards to news in that regard was Wizards of the Coast have managed to go a whole... How long since Gen Con? A week? 2 weeks?
I don't even know what that is.
About a week.
About a week?
Yeah, I think I saw over the weekend sort of like someone streaming it from Twitch, so not long.
So, Wizards of the Coast have managed to go a week after their triumph, had I used the word loosely, at Gen Con, at showing off the new D&D edition handbook, player's handbook, and a week has gone by and now they're embroiled in another slight scandal.
Oh, you're kidding.
Nope, it hasn't been a major one though, so well done Wizards for not doing as badly as you have previous with your scandals. This was actually, to be fair to Wizards, it was an attached third party and attached lawyers to attached third party that went a little bit trigger happy with the copyright strikes against YouTubers revealing their reviews of the players' handbooks as soon as the embargo was lifted, the review embargo. So they got a bit slap happy with the DMC strikes. But
That
that's
would
since
explain
been
it when I
resolved.
wrote my review, and they said, "How did you come across this project?" And I said, "Word of mouth," and they immediately sent people around to beat me up. I was wondering.
The Pinkertons, no less, yes.
I recently backed Nimble 5e on
Aha.
Backer Kit.
Well, I thought about that.
I got the
There
original
was a-
Nimble, but yes. Go on, Jan.
Nimble?
There was a sort of combat example live stream last night, which I watched today, and it looks quite nice.
Nimble does look very nice, but I'm planning on, as soon as I'm able to, moving anything 5th edition or 5th point whatever edition over to DC20 when it's ready. So I'll maybe think of looking at Nimble. But in the meantime, we are here for Star Trek Adventures. So let's get on with that before the time runs out. But lots of the general consensus is lots of great and interesting stuff coming in the future for role-playing games in general. So Nimble looks great. I'll probably have a look, but I'm not sure I have the time at the moment to implement it. But who knows? I might change my mind. But anybody who does, I do recommend you do have a look at the Nimble Kickstarter. It looks to be something very interesting as a means of trying to fill the gaps that 5th edition and its follow-up might well have still. But, again, Star Trek Adventures. Let's get back to what we were doing. So, last time on the Navis, we were responding to a dilithium mining colony in the Coriolanus system. And I always have immense trouble saying Coriolanus the first time around. Coriolanus is in an unaffiliated system, but it is apparently a system, at the very least, its 4th planet with a very rich dilithium deposit. But the mining colony has gone silent with its check-in for a space of about a week. When you guys arrived in system, you found some strange kind of semi-organic structure floating about on the periphery of the system, which basically opened fire on you, in a manner of speaking, the moment you came close to it. And it was launching plasma-based weaponry that seemed to drain power rather than do any actual damage. So you guys got suspicious when you came across the planet with a number of electro-magnetic related anomalies on the planet, which were A, preventing beaming down, and B, made travel in the atmosphere a bit dangerous and choppy. So far, you have sent down an away team on the Carpathia, which I shall take us to now. That away team, kind of with some help from the main crew on the Navis and with some improvements to the sensors whilst en route, as we like to say, managed to correct some of those problems so that you can at least detect the EM anomalies as they go. Dr. Bertram had the suspicion that the overall static charge left behind on the installation that you entered into whilst you visited the colony city seemed to suggest a link to whatever was in that semi-organic structure in space. So basically put yourselves on alert, expecting trouble from whatever else is yes. The Carpathia's new AI, Vigo the Carpathian, thank you. And in regards to Mike, the 2nd edition Star Trek Adventures player's guide, yes, I got that too, because not all the space frames for the different ship types were in the core rulebook, so some of those that didn't make it to the core rulebook because they took up too much space have been shunted over to the other book, which includes the Akira class. So we've got some extra space frames to work from in that. So yeah, you dang straight I got that. In any case, yes, the Carpathia, when you touched down and had a look around the installation, you found it without power. But you did manage to, through combined effort, reinvigorate some of the systems to the point where you found the only log left was a video log left by the previous colony commander, was apparently a Tellarite named Nern. Described an attack from a bunch of spaceborne creatures and was therefore ordering the survivors to the colony's shelter, which is just north of the colony settlement itself. And so, excuse me, we find ourselves now back in the Carpathia with our course set for proceeding towards this colony shelter north of the settlement. So, before we get stuck into that, is there any other piece of information that I may have missed or that you guys need clarification on? Alrighty. Yes, Alex?
No, I just said. I was asking you a question.
Excellent. Excellent. Alright then, so we are back in the Carpathia and we are heading through the atmosphere. So let's get some ambience going here. So, naturally we've got the same configuration as last time because that makes good sense. We've got your Chief Helm Officer at the helm and Edwards, who's a pretty decent Helm Officer himself, as co-pilot. For reasons that poor Keth continues to find beyond him, he's been brought onto this away mission too. But we have Commander Vibers, we have Bravo of Security, we have Ori, our Chief Science Officer, we of course have Dr. Bertram, and loitering around in the port nacelle apparently is Lieutenant Nova.
Is one with the port nacelle.
So, we are currently travelling through the atmosphere. It shouldn't be too long a journey, but nevertheless the journey is of course complicated by the fact that you have got these strange electromagnetic anomalies that you have at least now got your sensors picking up. So every now and again you have to make a course correction in order to avoid any of these anomalies, because they could potentially interfere with sensors or other systems. So better safe than sorry. As you are maneuvering through the atmosphere, Lieutenant Ori's station registers another EM anomaly. This one is strangely coming from behind the runabout. Behind and below.
Can we visualize that somehow?
Unfortunately, because of the electromagnetic interference given off by the anomaly, the sensors cannot get any kind of definitive scan of it. It's just a blob, essentially, on sensors of EM interference.
Would Nova be willing to go outside and look?
Hey Nova, pop your head up outside and see what's going on.
Very adventurous.
Gareth, apparently Bertram is playing around with a scale model of the Carpathia. Okay.
Okay, well, I would let everyone know about that. Say we can't discern very much information about it.
The anomaly does seem to be closing.
Oh,
and
great.
it's now split up into two now that it's closer. Sensors can detect that it's two sources of EM interference, and they're both closing in on the runabout from behind and below.
Can Ori do like a more thorough sensor scan or no?
Try. Webby, what was your
It
interjection?
was just going to be, is the Carpathia still in contact with the Navis? Because potentially the Navis could try and scan it, although the actual is probably going to be a lot more
Carpathia
difficult.
to Navis. Any chance of a decoy?
decoy. Okay, doke. So, or I wanted to try and get a better scan. There was an idea of maybe trying to get the Navis itself to help with giving a better scan.
That's a good idea.
Maybe we have a probe or something we could throw out and try and use as a distraction.
There's the idea of using a probe as a distraction, which in and of itself could be a probe launched from the Navis, whilst Ori consults the feed to see what's if he can get any better data from it. So I say we combine all three. So, in that case, let me quickly switch over and grab the Navis's token itself, just to make it easier for us to access. I'm going to have it hovering off of the starboard bow here. Navis on the starboard bow. You know how the tune goes. Oh, it's the Navis, and the syllable count matches, so I'm going to go with that. Okay, so what we're going to want is, let's say, control and science from Ori.
Okay.
Anything that can help here. Computers as a focus.
Computer.
We're going to want, Webby's idea, so Webby can be the Navis, giving us sensors and science. And there was an idea of launching it as a probe, so we will take that into account. Okay, so if we can have 2 from Ori, 1 from the Navis, 2 successes overall. Okay. Alright, so, are we keeping the Navis token there, or are we on the dashboard? Okay. Never leave home without home, I suppose. Okay, so, as the Carpathia is just still trundling along, Ori sends up a message to the Navis for assistance in scanning the anomalies coming up behind by launching a probe at them to see if they might take the bait and move more towards the probe than they do the Carpathia. The trajectory of the EM anomalies alters slightly in that one of the blips moves off towards the probe, but then starts to come back. The scan in regards to these EM anomalies definitely seem to narrow down the... let me think if I can do this in terms of starship scale, perhaps. Because the Carpathia is scale 2. The size of this blip would suggest something in the realm of scale 1, I think. Let me check that to make absolutely certain.
Would be scale 1.
Are we sure they're not trying to communicate with us on some level?
Well, you can always try something, of course.
They give them the last thing that had the sub-signature appear. Well, were we sure it's aggressive, or were we interpreting it as aggressive?
Is there any
Actually,
sort of empathic?
Well, yes. As it turns out, I was about to get there. So thanks for reminding me. Actually, Sean, it's good timing all round. But let me just quickly give a A shuttlecraft is a scale 1 ship. So these sensor blips have a similar kind of scale to them. As those sensor blips of the EM emissions start getting closer, Nova is definitely now starting to pick up on the periphery of her empathic senses that same note of aggressive territoriality. Something has interpreted, more than likely, the Carpathia's presence in the skies as a breach of their territory. Which brings us to... Alright, so the Carpathia is trundling along, and the EM signatures are getting closer and closer and closer, and that's when Nova very, very definitively gets a big jump in her empathic senses that it's now gone from kind of an aggressive territoriality to enemy sighted kind of animalistic feeling, and they are coming in with intent to, well, attack.
This feels wrong. Like, maybe we shouldn't be here.
So, I am going to grab.
You sure it's Colin who's here?
Grab these folks, and a Bertram, and a Nova. To
We
bring...
basically committed an act of hostility with an unknown species.
No. We haven't.
We're on a
engaged.
rescue mission.
Okay.
We have not fired on them at any point yet.
On that note, arm weapon.
Red alert.
Well, yeah, pretty much. As
Shoot to kill.
Yeah, Carpathia to Navis. Request pickup, please. We can only do it. We can only enter the atmosphere once per season. You know.
If nothing else, if we put the shields up, if I remember right, when we had the encounter in space, the shields were the worst hit because that's what the plasma was making first contact to.
It
So if they
didn't
make
burn the
contact-
hull.
Yeah. If nothing else, if they hit the shields, that might give us a few extra seconds before they actually start draining our more critical systems.
Did the scans
Alright
on
then.
them detect that he's got shielding itself?
say again, Sean. Sorry.
Did the scans on the plasma things detect that he's got shields that they...
These things do not appear to have shields of their own. No. In fact, as soon as they start flying up alongside the ship, you can take a look outside and you see that they are very much an organic life form. With lots and lots of tentacles. So, I am throwing us into combat. So, at least with Nova's empathic warning, you weren't taken by surprise.
Can we full stop the engines so they go flying past us and then just open fire?
That sounds like you want a helm maneuver from your Chief Helm Officer. So, do you want
Again,
Fazlan to go first?
Merely suggestion. Quite happy to allow other people to put suggestions in.
Okay.
Well,
What do
at the
other people
moment,
think?
You're the Echo with Bravo, aren't you?
Well, no, Kev in a minute. Ah!
Supporting
Fire,
characters can be taken by whoever wants them, so if you want to be Keth, you can be Keth. If you want to be Bravo, you can be
Battle
Bravo.
stations! Wind out the window, I'll backlift them! Kapla!
Slightly closer, I want to hit them with my batleth.
Teleport on board now with shield.
Close quarters! Get them on board, Kev.
Okay.
Nova, get them on board. I want to stab them personally. Love Kev.
Okay. Who do you want to go first?
I think definitely some sort of evasive maneuvers.
Definitely the pilot.
Any objections?
Yep, sounds logical.
Okay. Webby will be right back. So that gives us Thazanan. Alright.
Yeah, I'll do precise evasion. And
What we're talking about here is using that talent there, so when we succeed at an evasive action task, you can spend 2 momentum. If you do, the ship does not suffer increased difficulty for attacks normally caused by it. Yep, no problem. So,
I shall use my Medal of Honor just to give me that 2 momentum anyway.
Okay. Can we, in that case, get Fazanan to give us a Daring and Con task, difficulty 1. This is assisted by Gareth, who can give us the Carpathia itself, structure and con. This has a power requirement of 1, so whilst you're there, Gareth, you're going to have to take a power point away from the Carpathia. Starfleet Medal of Honor, so once permission, the character may gain 2 bonus momentum from the successful task. Okie dokie.
Oh dear.
Oh dear! Right then, yeah, Legion of Honor. There's going to be no scratches on this thing. No scratches at all.
Little does Faznan know the captain has programmed the Carpathia to counter some of his driving skill. Just so the captain can get on there so she can finally tell him off.
Okay, so you gain 2 bonus momentum, even though it was a difficulty 1, so you've already got well above what you needed, and so you've...
I shall spin the 2 of the, well, the Legion of Honor, or sorry, not the Legion of Honor, the Starfleet Medal of Honor goes into the precise evasion.
So you
and
spend
then
that without having to spend any. Cool.
And I'm going to spend another 2 momentum to take another action
Okay.
to do attack pattern.
So we are doing the Thazanan special evasive action and attack pattern at the same time. Now, bearing in mind, attack pattern also has a power cost of 1. So this time I'm going to ask Sean to be the Carpathia as Thazanan pulls another maneuver. So this is going to be, whereas we did Daring and Con, we're doing Daring and Con again from Thazanan, but this is difficulty 2. Sean, if you can give us weapons and Con from the Carpathia and pull an extra point, pull 1 point of power from the Carpathia, please. Already the Carpathia's getting low on power, we're already halfway down. And the Carpathia at least doesn't suffer a complication. So, Jan, oh, already on it. Double 11s, 2 successes on the money. Actually, the difficulty for that would have been 3 rather than 2 because of... Alright, so it looks like we missed the attack pattern by 1. So it was a near thing. Push the limits. Reduce the difficulty due to environmental or damage to the engines. Yeah, it wasn't damage to the engines, it's the difficulty of doing the same position task a second time.
Alright, okay.
So whenever you attempt, I mean, because technically you can, as you have done, if you wanted to maybe attack more than once with the ship's weapon systems, you could. But every time you use the same system to do the same kind of task, like attack or attack and evasion, the difficulty for it goes up by 1 for every other time that you use it. So the attack difficulty was 2, it went up to 3 as a result of you doing a second position task. So we didn't get the attack pattern, but we did pull off the evasion. It turns out that a runabout handles a bit differently from the Navis, especially in atmosphere. Now it's just as well that you pulled that complication away, because otherwise the rest of you would have been on for quite a bumpy ride as he suddenly hit the brakes and tried veering off. But at least you got evasion, so the Carpathia is now definitely more difficult to hit. But you didn't pull off attack patterns, so at the very least any attack you make with the Carpathia's weapon systems won't be more difficult because of Thazanan's precise evasion talent. So, we don't have the captain here, so we can't just keep initiative by no cost, but if one of you guys wanted to go next, you can spend 2 momentum to do so. Otherwise, it's going to be the Sky Squid's turn, for lack of a better name for these creatures. Alright.
Air Cthulhu.
Okay, Squid it is going to be. The Squid is going to be maintaining its distance and is going to be attacking. Now, the difficulty for attacking was going to be... Let me think. They managed to get reasonably close. That is a bare minimum hit. That is a bare minimum miss. So a streak of plasma, very similar to what was attacking you from that semi-biological structure out in the Oort cloud of the system, streaks past thanks to Thazanan's evasive action. So, make of that what you will. Alright, who of you goes next?
I would actually volunteer Edwards. I was actually thinking, I don't know how it would work game mechanics, but basically he wants to set up a counter evasion for when the next time they lunge. They're basically waiting and then anticipating and then basically getting the ship to basically jink at the last minute.
Well, you still have evasion as an advantage to yourselves, thanks to Thazanan's helm operation for the entirety of this turn until it comes back around to Thazanan's next turn. But if you wanted to try and make the ship extra difficult to hit, Edwards could go now and could try to create an advantage of his own.
So that's I'm not really sure what else I could do, to be honest.
That's fine. If you want, you can try and spend 2 momentum and do a control and con check to see if you can, difficulty 2, to see if you can create an extra evasive maneuver to make it even harder for the next one to try and hit you.
Okay, I might do that.
Alright then, in that case, Edwards is going next. This is going to cost a point of power if, because it sounds like to me like you're ready and waiting for an extra evasion to go if they come close to hitting you. So if they do, but your evasion means they miss, that will cost an extra point of power.
Okay.
So
I would like to use Spirit of Discovery.
Okay, you may spend 1 determination to add 3 points to the group momentum pool. Alright.
Because I want to use one as an additional dice.
Why don't you just use the determination?
I don't have a determination that actually works with this.
Use the mission mod.
Yep, you can use one of the mission directives, which if we go to the Navis is investigate the colony's silence.
I don't think it'll apply.
Technically, you found a potential. Go on, sorry, what was that?
Just make it more risky. So we've got, let's try something risky, is it?
Hey, I would say it's risky though.
You can make it risky.
I'm not going to make it worse to try and make it better.
No, you could just say that's what you're claiming on the determination, is that you can be thinking outside the box for attack patterns or something like that.
Just fly closer to the one that shot at us already, so that you put more risk in being closer to that, but also the other one saying that the chance of hitting his friends who are going to make it hard.
There you go.
Give it a go then, so in that case I'll
So,
reduce the momentum back.
What you're saying is you're planning to play poker using one of the white ball.
I'd say it's a bit more like, well, not like quite like chicken, but yeah. It's the whole get so close so if it charges, duck out of the way and they cause a mid-air collision.
So it still sounds like you want to try and create an advantage, and you can still use Spirit of Discovery to use your value to spend determination. Whew. Okay. Also, don't forget, advancement of getting milestones requires you to, not requires, but it would be nice to note in your log that you used that value in order to accomplish this. 2 successes on the money, what you needed. Okay. I will go to, I'll just give this evasion times 2. So there's a step higher. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Which means next squid's turn, unless you're spending momentum to keep initiative. Nope.
So whoever wants to go next.
Alrighty. Another sky squid. Gonna try the same thing. Ooh, you are flying dangerously close to its friend. So I'm going to spend a point of threat to give it 3 dice. That was still not enough to hit because of your evasion, so that means that your slightly risky evasion pattern has paid off. As a result, I have taken 1 extra point of power away from the Carpathia. Okay, so again, that shot streaks past. It would have hit normally if it wasn't for the evasive patterns laid in by Fazanan and Edwards. Okay, nicely done. Which leaves the rest of the crew to do whatever they want to do next. I would heartily recommend at least somebody get in there and restore some power, because the Carpathia is down to 1.
Let's do it.
Nova has the ability to spend a momentum to regain a point of spent power. So that's always an option. Plus, tacked on to Nova's ability to Nova trying to regain power, that could be very useful. There is, of course, Vibers here too, who used to have a pretty good, or still has a very good engineering score, who could also try getting some power back. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. I'm just throwing out suggestions. We've also got Keth, of course.
Ramming speed. Yeah.
So what would you like to do?
Only the best value to be. Go on, Nova.
Nova? So let's see.
We'll put in Cap.
So Sean, are you doing power management?
No, I just put Kev in for a lap.
Too late, you're doing something.
Well, Kev's an
You
engineer,
volunteered.
doesn't have any specialisation in power. Kev's just there for the ride. I just put that in for a general chapter. Kev has no plan.
So I said ramming speed.
Okey. Somebody
Okay.
go then, please.
Well, Ori has Engineering 3 and Warp Field Dynamic Focus. He could try something.
What were you thinking?
Well, thinking about looking into the power allocations, going different places, and rerouting to where we need it to be. Or maybe drawing on outside power sources.
Okay. There is a lot of ambient electrostatic energy going around, so
Wipe the
maybe...
window down, we'll plug out the window, out of it. Just tap into the field of the creatures.
You joke about that, but
I
it
was
might actually work.
It's a
I was
swing
actually
pin or two pin.
I was actually considering, given that we know the sort of frequency and resonance of the energy to a degree, that from our previous sort of investigations, if we can actually sort of use that to scan and see if we can get an idea of how they're actually propelling themselves, which I assume is via these electromagnetic disturbances they're creating. It might give us a clue of how to disrupt it and hamper their ability to move themselves through it, and thus actually give us a chance to escape them.
Well, you make a good point. You do have a data record of the energy drain, the electrostatic signature of the energy draining plasma. So if Ori wanted to try something using warp field theory, I will allow you to again spend 2 momentum and make a, let's go, reason and science using warp field dynamics to see if you can lessen any power drain effects from the creature's attacks.
I'm spending Determination.
You want to use determination as well?
Well, no, I don't. What did you say I had to spend?
2.2 momentum.
Oh, well, Is that allowed? You guys agree with that or no?
Good with
Ah,
that?
go for it.
I hear no objections.
1, 2.
Alright, let's activate
and,
Ori.
Reason and science. Okay.
Not bad, 3 successes, very, very good. So you get 1 back, and you now get to, let's say, shielded power systems. So you've set up a rudimentary defense against the energy draining attack of the creatures. Okay, anybody else want to go next? Sounds like Bertram would like to maybe use ship sensors to try and get an idea of how they're propelling themselves, and maybe if it's with EM, so... Bertram.
Yep.
Let's go with... yeah, reason and medicine for you, please. He's definitely using xenobiology.
Xenobiology. 3 successes.
3 successes, which means you get 1 over and above what was needed, another point of momentum back to the pool.
Yay.
Right, yes, as Bertram is suspecting, they are using organically generated electro-magnetic fields to propel themselves through, well, through the air and through space as well, it seems, through atmosphere and space. They are very much, therefore, appear to be some kind of potentially spaceborne creature, you think, although, considering they're able to survive in atmosphere as well, it suggests maybe they're a creature that started off on a planet and evolved the ability to venture out into space. It's not all that clear as of yet, but they definitely use EM as a means of propelling themselves, which would also explain why their natural projectile vomiting of this plasma is so heavily ionized. But again, there's no indication as of yet that they're actively feeding on the ship's power system. So, at the very least, you've got an idea of the electromagnetic signature that they're using to propel themselves. So, somebody else could build on what you've discovered. Or could, once again, I hasten to bring up the fact that the Carpathia has got only 1 point of power left.
Oh boy.
It's probably a good idea to drop the power problem.
Yeah, brace for impact. Go to the ground like a...
But we are in a shuttle, or runabout. They are supposed to crash and have the glide path of a highly polished ring. So... go on, let's shuffle some power around.
Right, so is that Vibers doing it, or is that Keth doing it? Is
Yeah,
Nova doing it?
Vibers will do it.
Okay, so if you're trying to get power back, that's the usual check of daring or control and engineering with a difficulty of 2. If you've got any focuses that apply to power restoration or management...
Power systems, electroplasma...
There we go, those will do.
Composure, it's definitely that as well.
I'm in control. I am in control. Okay, so you got 1 success over and above what you needed, so you can either add that to the pool to get 6 momentum again, or you can throw it in as an immediate momentum spend to gain an extra point of power.
Give us the extra power.
Okay, so we're now back up to 3/4 power in the internal power supply of the Carpathia. Okay, nice, nice, nice. Does Keth want to do anything? Does Nova want to do anything? Doesn't sound like it. Okay.
Well, Kev could do.
Yeah, the only thing is firing weapons, but...
Yeah, there is firing weapons, but there's Bravo for that as well, if you want that.
Yeah, there's Bravo for that. So Kev is just happy to sit there and lean back and be like, ah yes, good Federation.
Talking to everybody like the Federation collectively is just one big cat. Good kitty. Nice kitty. Alright, if nobody else has got anything else they want to do, unless they want to use Bravo to start shooting back at these creatures.
Well, I think we need to defend defend ourselves now. They have opened fire on us. Shoot to disable, not destroy, so target the engine, or well, whichever kind of like where the lithium generator will propulsion out from.
Okay.
I was thinking if they're emitting electromagnetic interference, could we, knowing like the resonance of it, generate some sort of counter interference to short it out, like when you place like circuits or magnets with a field together, it kind of disrupts. If we could
Sounds
do that,
like
even
a modification somebody like Nova or Keth could do.
so part of me thinks if we can tell to Kath that it's kind of like combat.
I think maybe we'll do.
Yeah, it
Yep.
does sound more Nova-y than Kev. Kev's happy to assist.
Okay,
I will
cool.
press the button for you, Lieutenant.
This is definitely going on in flight. Probably just the right kind of atmosphere that Nova likes to tinker with things. When nobody cares too much as long as it gets done. So let's get a definitely daring and engineering with tinkering as the most certain focus here for Nova. I'm looking for, again, 2 momentum spend and 2 successes, but Keth can assist with daring and engineering as well. So Webby, if you want to be Keth, and Sean, if you want to give us a 2 dice roll as Nova.
Engineering maintenance.
It's less maintenance, it's more jury rigging or something like that, so it's nothing he's really got a focus for yet.
Or hand-to-hand combat. I've got this.
But this is certainly something we can add as a focus for him later, now that he's taken part in an episode, so... So that's 1 from Keth. Sean, if I could have the 2 from Nova then, please? Grand Kite Order of Tactics. Once permission, when the character creates an advantage, they may automatically create a second identical advantage. Neato! Definitely a good idea. Oh, I see a 1. Nice. So we used 2 momentum to create it, but then we got 1 back from its creation, and now we've got twice the... so that is... what should we call that? Just tag EM times 2. Can't think of anything specific, but I know what I mean when I put it there. Alright, so it definitely seems that you've now created a means by which you could, whilst firing phasers, I mean, Bravo is yet to go, you could now load into the phaser emitters the kind of harmonics, resonance, whatever you want to call it, frequency. Yeah, frequency sounds more like it. To the phasers now to disrupt their electromagnetic propulsion. So, let's go with Mike. Could you be Lieutenant Bravo, Commander Bravo Security, please?
Okay.
And can we have... Jan, could you be the Carpathia, please? We are using weapons and security for the Carpathia, and we are from Lieutenant Commander Bravo, we're looking control and security. No focuses, I'm afraid. He's a security chief, not a tactical officer.
Well, darn.
Nothing from the Carpathia, but 2 successes on the money from Bravo. So, cool. That
He's a Bravo.
Well, hey, Bravo, Bravo, yes. So, Jan, if you could roll damage from phaser banks, please.
Standard damage, nothing extra.
Standard damage, nothing extra, but we'll consider any effect to be employing that EM effect. Ooh, and it's all effects! Nice. Okay. So 3 successes overall means that the phaser shot itself does no actual physical damage to the creature, but you did very, very well disrupt its EM field. So at the point of this round ending, this one drops way, way back as it's having trouble. You can see it. Anyone who looks out the window or uses visual sensors can actually see that the creature is visibly fighting to keep itself in the air as it's dropping, losing altitude and losing speed. So this one is gradually falling back. It'll probably be able to make one last shot at extreme range, so it's not going to be easy for it to try and hit you, but it's going to make one attempt. So, well done. As a result of coming back around, next round, this will be when evasion goes away, the shielded power systems and the EM settings to the phasers remain. So, who wants to go first out of you guys now? Do you want to do Helm again, or do you want to do something different and try weapons first to see if you can get the other one to drop back, or what would you like to do? Or you can make a break for it and try and lose the thing in the clouds or something. Or fire a micro torpedo and blow it right the hell up.
The speed that they cause us all, I don't think there's any delay.
If we can,
I think shoot.
if we can get the other one in a similar situation to the other one, we might then be able to outpace them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, seeing as looking back, seeing as he did so well with Bravo the first time, how about we might take charge of Bravo again? Gareth, can you be the Carpathia this time?
Yep.
This is going to be weapons and security from the Carpathia. It'll take a point of power out. I forgot about that. That's
Oh god.
Whoa, Gareth, we're not letting you near the Carpathia again.
Yeah.
I've got a Legion of Honor we can use.
If you're alright with using it,
good
then
idea.
okay.
Alright, hold on here.
Just tap the comm badge to let us know you've used it. There we go. That might be your last Legion of Honor as well, because I seem to remember you used it last time too.
No, I don't think I did.
Nope, okay, I sit corrected. Sit corrected. Alright then, in that case, Mike, if you can once again give us control and security 2 dice from Security Chief Bravo.
Come on, Bravo, you can do this. You got this.
He does. Oh, he doesn't. He really doesn't.
Well, I can use the other one.
Hey. You gonna use that other Legion of Honor right the heck now, are you?
I guess so.
Up to you. Alright, he spent it. Okay, so the good news is nothing catastrophic happens, but the 2 bits of bad news is that was a barefaced miss, and Ori is now out of Legions of Honor. So.
Yep.
So, that means that unless you're going to spend 2 momentum, it's now the squid's turn. Because you shot at him, I'm going to have this precise one. He's going to accelerate. And he's going to actually physically attack the Carpathia.
Attack him telepathically.
So, yes, the empaths, now that it's this close, Ori is also getting the emotion, the animalistic emotional sense of the territoriality of this creature. The fact that you've been identified as an invading presence, and it's determined to see you off, even if that means it kills you. But you get both Nova and, especially Nova, but both Nova and Ori get the impression that the creature isn't identifying the people inside. It doesn't know about the people inside. It's treating the Carpathia as an entity.
Okay. Could we reach out and make friends.
Reach out and touch faith. Well, that's for you to try in another. Ooh, hello. Alright, so this one gets up close and launches itself at this at close range. So it's just as well that you put the shielding of the power systems in place, because I got 2 effects there and 5 successes. Now this is a runabout, therefore it takes 3 damage, and the damage comes all out of the shields, but it also has a dampening effect, but you've also lessened it. So for every... What's the dealio with ship weapon effects and qualities? If it's dampening... Ooh dear. So that 1 remaining point of power that you've got on the Carpathia is now gone. That does not mean that the ship starts plummeting from the atmosphere, but anything else that requires a point of power to use is now either going to make the ship lose power and crash, or you just cannot plain do it until you get some power back. If you hadn't have created the shielded power systems, it would have sucked enough juice out of the Carpathia to deactivate all its power and make it plummet from the sky. So, wipe brow, that was a close one. Well done, Ori, for thinking ahead. And well done, Bertram, for getting the data.
Did we just land?
It was almost a plan. Right.
Fortunately, Fazan's such a good pilot, he doesn't need power.
Well, this is a good point. Who's going next? Are we going to do... we're going to do an attempt to break away at speed, or are we going to try another attempt at shooting the thing, which will be harder since somebody's already tried using the tactical systems? Or are we going to... Definitely getting some power back would be deal 1, but there's also getting shields back, because shields are down to only 25%.
Feign that we've lost power.
You could try. I mean, this would mean probably getting Thazanan and maybe Edwards to work together to fake an out-of-control descent.
If this is a hunter-prey situation, then acting as if you are injured might not be a good idea.
I was actually thinking, what about a yielding kind of stance? I'd say probably Bertram would be best for this, basically based off like, we know they're kind of settling pods-ish. What would be the nearest, that's I can't say the word. What would be the nearest equivalent we could potentially relate it to? And what would be that creature's potential, yeah, I'm off, I'm leaving, that kind of body language to show it's not a threat, it's capitulating and therefore leaving. Because that's technically what we'd be trying to do.
This appears to be the problem you have. Pretty much as far as any of you are aware, you don't know of this creature, which suggests it might not be in Federation records at all as ever a species that's been encountered.
That's why I said equivalent.
Trying to draw a comparison to other creatures would take a bit of time to search the database for anything even remotely close.
How about this? Can we scan it and get data that we can analyze?
Now that it's really, really close, potentially. But there's also, of course, Mike's other idea of trying to project friendly.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, Deltans are more... empathic Deltans are more about feeling other people's emotions rather than projecting them, so somebody who would be better at projecting empathically and telepathically would definitely be Nova. Since we know that even empathic betazoids can communicate telepathically. But that's up to you guys, what you would like to do. Because there's still another squid, and one of you guys needs to go before it can go, so I'm going to ask for a decision pretty quickly as to who wants to do what next.
We want to have Thaznan so he can do another evasion. We just so we've got some sort of
Invasion,
defense.
power.
Invasion will take power, so... Okay, I'm going to make
No,
an...
but anything you can do to get us some more power so we can get out of here.
Who was that directed towards? Sorry, Davis?
Nova?
Nova.
Because obviously what I did didn't keep, so it wasn't good
Or
enough.
have Nova communicate.
Sean, what would you like to do?
And I think Nova would be more interested in communicating with power.
I didn't catch the last bit, sorry, Sean. You're very quiet to me.
Communication over power.
Communication over power. Okay, so... righty-ho. So in that case, would you like somebody who's going to generate power to go before Nova, or would you like Nova to try now, and if successful, might quell this whole situation? What do you think? Power as a priority, or do you want to give Nova's attempt at communication a priority?
Communication takes no power.
Comms. Worst case scenario, we learn how much good bricks we're flying.
Okay. Alright
Got a
then.
good one about.
What?
Yeah, there needs to be a new scratch on the carpet.
Okay,
It's
so...
alright, Captain. Did I tell you about the Californian too?
The Californian's fine. Scrap that as much as we want.
Can we link with her to kind of shield her if
We
it
have
becomes
Scout
aggressive
Out,
telepathically?
that's the thing.
Yes, we can. Scrap the Californian.
I already have.
Yes, I said we
Ooh.
can.
Oh,
Reduce
so
the
I thought-
difficulty of the persuade task by 1. I forgot you had that. Very good, very good. Okay, that reduces what I was going to do to give it a difficulty of 2 instead, so it's a lot better now. It seems, in answer to your question, Mike, that Nova has already got something for that.
Okay.
But this is actually a good point. Betazoids don't like being around animals because they're always afraid that an animal's animalistic emotions can sometimes become too overwhelming for them, maybe even override their own emotional control. So I've never considered Nova as being particularly bothered with that notion personally, so this makes sense to me. So, insight and command, if you please, Sean, with the empathic focus of yours.
Nova's the crazy cat lady got it.
Navis the crazy cat. Oh, and using Cockerel Medal of Excellence. I could kill you with my brain. Once permission, when you spend a point of determination, receive 2 benefits from determination 1. Okay, Nova is going all in with this. I like it. Oh, two successes on the money. Okay, so actually no, because you used that, it's actually got 2 more, so it's 4 successes. And you reduce the difficulty. So what you actually did was gain 2 momentum back. Right. With that level of, with a tremendous level of effort, Nova projects out this wave of basically pacificity, if I think I've invented a new word, such that it's pretty much like broadcasting a friend on a friend or foe challenge. And yeah, Nova puts a great deal of effort into this, and as a result, the impression that both Nova and Ori are getting, and actually Bravo, I hasten to note, is that with that kind of empathic effort and kaboom that she put into it, Nova has made the squids kind of rethink what's going on, at which point it starts dropping back.
Yay, Nova!
And sure enough, the 2 squids peel off their assault. Right. Nicely done.
Navis to Carpathia, fire at will.
He needs a promotion.
Carpathia to Navis. Weapon fire not required.
Fire at will.
Situation under control.
What did poor Will do?
Recommend promotion for Lieutenant. Over.
Kev. Kev, seize command. Fire at will. You are my spy on board, Kev.
All right.
God.
So, with that out of the way, you do not get accosted by any other creatures for the remainder of this trip, and eventually you start drawing in on the signal of where the shelter breaks the port nacelle of where the shelter currently resides. So your sensors register a structure, but the power signature coming off of that structure is very, very low. As you start drawing closer to it, your visual sensors can determine that the shelter is a thermal concrete building firmly set into the side of a mountain. It appears to have a fortified door that's large enough for the runabout to get through reasonably easily. You also track that it has a pair of turrets, phaser turrets, that sit either side of the main entrance door. And the power to those phaser turrets is basically non-existent. The overall power signature you're getting from the entire installation is, at the most, it's on backup generator power. But you are able to get a pretty short, low power burst of comms through if you want to land. I say if. Life sign readings indicate that there are a good many life forms inside of that shelter, some of whom seem to show initial signs of injury and or distress. So, with that in mind, we bring the ship in pretty easily through the opening in order to dock at the shelter.
I'm blind.
Yeah, it's not loaded for me yet either.
It's
Okay.
loaded, but it's saying that I don't have a token.
Yeah, I haven't loaded anybody's token on as of yet, which I should really take care of. Now that I've got you all in a nice
Who holds
happy
this scene
cluster.
reversing?
Right,
Oh
so
my god, the squids have eaten the light!
visually, I kind of apologize for the messy look down here. You land your runabout, but of course the map has an image of a shuttle that takes up a lot more space than a runabout does. So you're just going to have to forgive me for that. Nevertheless, you are able to land the runabout pretty easily, and you do find that the place is inhabited by a load of people who are in various different levels of not necessarily injury, but everyone who's wearing either a jumpsuit or a uniform or any kind of gear like that has got shown signs of either dirt or abrasion. So there are very few people here who don't show some signs of having escaped very rapidly from a threat. Some of them are huddled together at this point in time trying to comfort one another, whilst others are basically just pacing around. Some are helping out, trying to help those who are injured. So,
Kev, before we go any further, could you power down the runabout, please?
okay, yes, because the runabout needs a bit of recharging.
I was going to say, before someone's go, would it be wise checking the ship to see if things that attack actually left some of their own DNA on the actual ship, so we might be able to get a sample?
Well volunteered, Lieutenant.
Anybody wants to control a control and security test to see if you can scan? It's not security, control and medicine, pardon me, test to see if you can scan for any biological traces left by the squid creature attacking.
I think it's a better medicine than myself.
It does sound like it would be more Dr. Bertram's kind of thing, yes?
Yep.
You'd want a piece of them.
Okay, can I use xenobiology as a focus?
Yes, you can. Two
successes.
successes. Okay, that's pretty much what I was looking for. They didn't leave much in a biological trace, but this kind of confirms Bertram's suspicion that it is actually a spaceborne entity.
Yeah.
So their molecular structure is pretty dense as a result. So even physically smacking the side of the runabout left a dent and a scratch, but overall it seemed more damage was done to the power systems. So these creatures, it definitely left a very, very long scrape, and from the penetration of the scrape that it left, it would certainly suggest that this life form has a very sharp implement on its body, which could be used for anything from biting through a toughened prey's shell to maybe piercing rock or other dense materials. If it's some kind of life form that likes to dig for its food, it's not all that clear, but at the very least you've got some hypotheses to work from. In the meantime, Vibers, from your vantage point, there are a pair of individuals down here who are deep in heavy discussion. Occasionally someone comes up to them, especially this lady here, and looks like they're taking orders from her in a kind of a loose fashion. They seem to be the only two, not exactly authority figures, but they're the only two who appear to be making an effort at coordinating any of what's going on around here. But when they see you guys disembarking, they do start proceeding up towards you.
Who else wants to join the welcome party?
Yep, looks like it's just you.
Come along.
Okay.
Greetings.
Oh, Starfleet, thank goodness you've come.
Commander Vibers to the USS Navis, and I've got with me we've got Dr. Bertram and Lieutenant Edwards. My team's here to help get as many of you out of here as possible and see what we can do to solve the problem. How many people have you got down here?
Well, our guess, from a couple of loose counts that we've made so far, we've got about 150 people. Where are my manners? My name's Elise Russell. I'm what you might call the deputy colony administrator. Unfortunately, our previous colony administrator, Mr. Nern, was unfortunately killed during the last attack by the creatures. So I've kind of inherited the leadership of this colony. Anything you could do to help would be great. We need to get people off of this planet as soon as we possibly can.
Okay, how much do you have a working transporter in this here or not?
Unfortunately, no. The vast majority of our power is gone. This facility here is deemed to be our shelter because it is the one that's the most reinforced, because it's the dilithium mine. But it seems to attract these creatures a lot. Usually, we expect to be attacked from pirates or privateers or any other polity or body who wants to try and get their hands on the dilithium deposits here. So that's why we have phaser turrets on the outside of our landing doors. But those creatures have just been steadily attacking over and over and just draining our power reserves to the point that they're practically out. If those creatures attack again, we don't have the power to repel them. So it's just as well that you arrived when you did.
About how many people could we evacuate in one go on the craft?
Well,
150 people sounds like a lot.
yes. Priority, of course, should be to take the injured, of which you should have enough space in the runabout if you cram a lot of people in for definitely enough to. You've definitely got enough room on the runabout to take all the injured, or at least all the badly injured, the ones definitely in need of aid, to the Navis now. But you're probably talking about 1, maybe 2 more trips afterwards.
In terms of, I would say, going to your leave, I think I should start preparing turning the craft into kind of triage fin to shuttle the worst injured as quickly and as easily as we can back to the ship.
Which means you are going to
Sounds
have to
like
do
a
a
good plan.
medical evaluation of folks.
Yeah.
That would be great. We're going to
I'll
also
just,
need somebody to maybe help bring up the power again and help charge the defenses. See if we can get things running here, just in case those things do come back.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I volunteer Nova.
That
Do you know what
sounds
those
like
things
a team
are?
To go in
Some sort of space native creature with the ability to emit plasma that rapidly drains energy.
That would certainly track with what we've seen, says the man who came up with Elise Russell. Oh, my apologies.
We found a very big one of them in the edge of the system.
What do you mean, a very big one? Doctor, the other guy who gets introduced as Dr. Akio Naruhito. Seems very interested in this.
Some way away from the planet in the system is a large biological entity that seems to essentially be a host for other creatures, which, given the similarity to the electromagnetic resonance and the energy draining effects the plasma has, is quite likely essentially a host organism equivalent to a ship for these creatures.
About the size of a small starbase.
That would be rather strange, says Dr. Naruhito.
Yeah.
As far as we've been able to tell, these creatures didn't just appear out of the sky, out of nowhere. We have analyzed a series of boreholes found near other played-out dilithium deposits here on the planet. I believe these squid creatures have actually been here for some time. They're not just attracted to the dilithium, I believe they feed on it.
There are creatures who have areas they don't live in but use as a feeding grounds that they will come to every so often and then retreat from later. Perhaps it's some similar behaviour.
Elise Russell jumps in here. Well, this is all well and good, but we still have to get people out of here. These creatures are a definitive threat to my people. And to yourselves.
That's why we've got enough people to look at both things at once. Kev, can you pair up with someone, see if you can get the defense back online?
Okay.
And some power?
Right. So we're going to need someone to bring on the power. We're definitely going to need to have someone look up to bring up the phaser cannons. And we're going to need, of course, the doc to have a look at who needs to be taken aboard the first flight out of here.
Yep.
Anybody else who can think of a task that they would like to perform during this time that might help?
Vibers is going to be trying to see if he can, I'd quite like to get these pattern enhancers we brought down with us and see if they can actually get through.
That's a good
Because
point.
that
You
gives
did
us a
bring
second
pattern
way of getting
enhancers.
people out.
We did.
You
And we brought
did.
enough to make a nice pretty triangle with them as well.
Okay. In that case, alright. Whomever is going to be trying to bring the power systems back online. Again, Nova could be good for helping with this. As could Keth. This would be a control and engineering test for one or both, I think. Using any foci to do with power systems. Engineering maintenance, I would say in this case, Keth, that would count as a focus for Keth, because this is trying to bring an actual system back online. So I am good for that. Let me bring in things a little bit closer. So, let's see. Nova has got Control 9, Engineering 5. Keth has got Control 10, Engineering 4. So it's kind of even-steven for both of them. So, up to you guys who thinks who should be leading and who should be assisting.
Say Edward's good for us.
Edwards could assist as well, absolutely.
I could even assist as well, but I think we've got a lot.
Yeah, and maybe Thazanan and Bravo could work together to bring the phaser turrets back online, since they've got pretty good security between the two of them.
Right.
And we'll get to Ori in just a minute. So from... I mean, Webby, do you want Keth to be lead, or do we think Nova should be lead?
No, Nova's better at it than
Okay.
Cat, so...
In that case, can I have Control and Engineering 2 dice from Nova with... Inner Workings would work very well at this, because you are trying to bring up stuff that's already there. And, oh dear. These complications are starting to appear.
Those squids, their electromagnetic fields cause complications.
Indeed, it seems so. Can I get the same from Keth, please? Control and Engineering. With a focus on maintenance. Webby, if you could take care of that for me, since you seem to be Keth today.
Sorry, what do you want?
Control and Engineering, please.
Control and Engineering. Engineering maintenance?
Yes, please.
Yay.
1 dice.
Stupid Federation technology.
Well, indeed, yes. Is Nova using
Yes,
any
that's
Legions of
upside down.
Honor as a result of the complication? No. Okay. Okay. Alright. So, some power is brought back online, but unfortunately the sudden surge shorts out some of the systems here. A couple of lights blow and surprise people. There's no longer enough power for the some of the lifting systems, which means that if any equipment is going to get off of planets, then it's going to have to be lifted by hand, more than likely. And it might also impact Thazanan and Bravo's ability to get the weapon systems up and online, so that will have a knock-on effect there. So you've got basic power up, so you've got lights, you've got life supports, which will make the air in here a bit more comfortable, but you've also got some shields. Not much, though. Speaking of, let's get to Thazanan and Bravo. Mike, if I could... Yeah, Mike, if you could be Bravo, you've had some luck with him, good success with him so far. Bravo can be assisting, so this is going to be control and security, I think, from Bravo. 1 dice. Any focuses?
Security protocol?
Let's go with security protocol, yeah, that makes sense. And Caval Thazanan, let's go with security protocols as well, but 2 dice, control and security. It's going to be made more difficult as a result of the complication, but with 4 successes you manage it. So, you get power back to the phaser cannons on the either side of the what do they call it? Landing strip? The landing port? Port sounds fine. So if any of those squid creatures come back, you've at least got rudimentary shields and some phaser defenses. With that many successes, I will say that you also managed to implement the electro-magnetic counter that you implemented in the Carpathia into the phaser turrets. Should buy you a bit more time. That does mean they're going to draw on a smidge more power than usual, but hopefully it'll last if something happens. And we get then Bertram to do a reason and medicine check to see if he can grab... actually no, check that. Insight and medicine. To get a feel for which people are going to need to be transported aboard the runabout and who's safe to leave behind, to people with only minor injuries.
Surgery is a focus?
Surgery... Yeah, go on then. Biology would work as well. 3 successes. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so having worked triage before, yes, Bertram is able to allocate the most wounded as priority and therefore start organising. Probably with someone like Orai's help, how to get the inside space of the runabouts ready for taking on as many wounded people as possible.
He's got medicine too.
Yes, I noticed that, which means that Orai is very well suited to assisting with that. Don't require a roll, that just means you've got good enough training, in fact more than adequate training enough to help with triage situations.
He's doing something! Yay!
It's always doing something.
Helping.
It's one of the most keen folks we've met. And as far as that extra list of stuff potentially that you sent me, Mike, I will have a look at it when I get the chance. But that also, kind of on a side note, brings to mind again why I'm very interested to have a look at 2nd edition to see if they have the ability to allow those folks who have less combat and tactical abilities to contribute a bit more during things like ship combat and stuff like that. So again, another reason to look through 2nd edition. Alright, so you've got power back, things are set. The runabout has now got shields and power back, so it is able to take a flight. Now, the question has to now be brought. Obviously, the runabout is going to need to be piloted, so who is taking the runabout back to the Navis in order to drop off the first lot of survivors? I mean, it makes sense for Thazanan to do it, but then Edwards is a pretty good pilot too. It depends on whether or not you want to leave anybody behind.
Leave Orai behind.
Or I can certainly help.
Both Edwards and Thazanan, because then we have 2 qualified pilots going up, and we need to bring 2 craft back down to get more people.
That's a nice idea.
We've got 2 pilots.
Yeah.
Because it's not like there's another craft sitting here for us to fly out on.
Keep in mind, the other craft we have is the one that's actually got guns in it, and this...
Not necessarily.
We do also have shuttlecraft.
We have standard shuttle as well.
Because you upgraded to a bigger ship, you actually do now have room for an attack ship, a runabout, and 2 shuttlecraft. So, because the Navis now has extra space, you have extra space in your shuttle bay too, so you do actually have a pair of standard shuttlecraft that you can bring down, if you wish. So, yes, the plan to send 2 up in order to bring two craft down is... But as has been pointed out by Alex, yes, bringing the Samson down won't accomplish much because there's virtually no space whatsoever on that thing for evacuating folks. So, is Nova going up with the shuttle, with the runabout, pardon me, or is Nova staying down here to assist with anything else that could need fixing around here?
I think Nova would stay now.
Stay here, okay. What about Vibers?
Vibus is kind of been charged down until the
Yeah.
captain tells him.
He is at the moment an authority figure, so which is a good point. We could use Vibers's presence and command to see if you can start getting people to sort themselves into orderly queues and become a bit less chaotic. It's probably a good idea for Doc Bertram to go up with the patients, although, as has been noted,
Yeah.
Ori is more than capable, but Micah said Ori is staying behind, so
Yeah.
putting Bertram with the on-crew. What about Keth and Bravo? I mean, it makes sense to have an engineer on the runabout, and it also makes sense to have a weapon officer on the runabout. Not
Or I would
this.
also like to find out more about these creatures, why he stays behind.
That's a good idea, actually. 4 successes, so yes, Vibers, using his commanding presence, is able to get the colonists and the miners to start working a bit more efficiently at organising themselves. It turns out that they did bring a good couple of refined dilithium deposits here to the shelter, so they're wondering maybe, with all the EM interference in the atmosphere, it might not be safe to beam up people, but the pattern enhancers you did bring might be good at sending inorganic materials such as supplies like dilithium. So there's that option
Wait a
if you
minute.
want to take it.
You think if they eat the dilithium?
What's the thought?
Let's make a decoy when we launch the Carpathia. We can beam this dilithium somewhere else and see if they'll go after that instead, giving us a clean shot to orbit.
Load up a probe with it. Moving target, maybe. Looks like prey. Actually, no. If they eat something metal, the deposits. Yeah, sorry. I'm being thick. No, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Okay, how did you want to do this then?
Right.
What was the thought?
We've got a transporter in the Carpathia. Rather than the
Yes.
pattern enhancers, we have a transporter on the Carpathia. If we load it up in the transporter, then the pilots there have got something they could use to set it up as a decoy. They can hit a button and it beams it out about 2 miles away and see if they go after that and leave them alone. Or we can set it up here with the pattern enhancers and just beam it before you take off and see if they'll go from that.
What I will say about the plan of using the runabout is that these creatures are pretty big. So, and we've already established that we're going to be packing as many people into the runabout as possible in order to evacuate them to the Navis and use the Navis's extensive beams.
A big bit of radiation producing fuel stuff in the middle of the runabout when we're filling it full of wounded. Good point.
I was thinking more on the case of the dilithium itself is going to take up room that could otherwise be taken up by evacuating someone who's injured. So it depends on the size of the decoy you want to create.
Let's set up the transporter and the pattern enhancer somewhere. Apart from anything else, it confirms how good of a signal we get with the transporter through that.
Okie dokie, okie dokie. Alright then, everybody good with the plan so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Alright, so the guys on the ground are going to be setting up, I mean it sounds like Vibers and Nova might be setting up this decoy thing, whilst Ori is going to be looking into the creatures themselves, which means he could probably do with pairing with this fellow here, who seems to be the one who is most interested in them. Meanwhile, the other guys are going to be travelling up to the Navis with all the injured in the Carpathia. Alright. Okay,
Right.
groovy.
With the numbers we've got, how many trips do you think to do?
If you bring both shuttlecraft on the Navis down with you after you deposit these guys, the injured, you could probably only need one more down and up, because there's enough room on the runabout and the 2 shuttles to take the rest, you reckon.
Okay.
Okay. Alright then. Good. Alright, so let's just check that I've not missed anything. Okay. Okay. So, with an eye towards looking out for more of these squid creatures, the guys on the Carpathia finally loaded to capacity, and the nod for takeoff is given, and you are able to pilot the Carpathia out of the colony and start heading straight for the upper atmosphere. The interference isn't bad enough that you can't signal the Navis on the way up to let them know that you are on your way. And so, with a bit of, shall we say, not exactly anxiety, but there's a word that I'm forgetting, so I'm just going to trundle along with it.
Trepidation?
Yes, the word I was looking for. Thank you. Trepidation. Expectant trepidation. You wondering if the next time you hear a blip on the scanners, it's going to be one or more of these squid creatures come back to check if you're still a friend or not. But the trip up seems to be going well. Now, the deal with the decoy, were you going to do it when the Carpathia launched so that you could maybe hope to divert these creatures' attention away?
Before we open the door to let them out.
Right, gotcha. So let's have Nova and Vibers do that then, because you're going to have to account for the EM interference. You've got the advantage of using the pattern enhancers, so you've got that going for you. So I'm going to say this is going to be a difficulty 3 job, with Nova and Vibers having to give me control and engineering. Let me think. Anything to do with transporters would be handy. So I suggest at least for Nova the inner workings thing works again. But I can't see anything really on Vibers that would suggest transporter use.
Use lifetime spent.
Oh, and Nova's already right in there with 2 successes. So that's most of the heavy lifting done. So Davis, if we could have Vibers.
Focus. What are they doing? Can't use the StarCraft because we haven't got a focus. Right.
You looking through your list of medals and awards and talents to see if anything helps?
Talent, see if anything helps.
You certainly used to have engineering-based talents. Let's give them a look.
Oh, well, all of them require me to have a focus that applies to this situation.
And ventriloquism, for some reason, is in talents still, I hasten to note.
I don't know where ventriloquism came from.
So I'm getting rid of it.
I didn't have it.
The closest is your Cochrane Medal of Excellence.
Which requires a focus to apply.
Which requires a focus to apply, so yeah, it looks like you're just going to have to go with...
Okay, in which case, this is definitely a steady hand situation.
I would think so. So remember to make note in your log that you've used it. Once you're done with the 4 successes, wow, blimey. Nova and Vibers on the clock and working. Very good. Alright, yowzers. So, just as they're about to open the launch bay doors and allow the Carpathia to leave, the two of you manage to find a suitably distant location to beam the big dilithium deposit to a separate place. You choose a mountain top so it's nice and high, but also a way away from where the shelter currently is, in order to try and divert folks that way. So you both very, very well compensate for the electromechanical interference, and then give the nod to the Carpathia. It's time to lift off and speed for the atmosphere, which they do. And so far they remain unmolested. As for Ori and Dr. Naruhito, I would like Ori to give me a reason and medicine check with xenoanthropology as a focus, please.
Okay.
And I'm going to make this difficulty 1 for you. Okay. You
Determination.
You can spend a determination if you really, really want to get this. I mean,
yeah.
Let's see what's out there would be a good
Okay.
example.
Yeah.
So you can re-roll those, absolutely. Remember to also make a note later in your log that you have used that value. That's better. On the money. Well, actually, I said 1, didn't I? But that's 2, and you got a full momentum pool. Excellent. Okay, with 2 successes. Both Ori and Dr. Naruhito spend a little bit of time while all the preparations or whatever are going on to try and start postulating about these creatures. I mean, what Dr. Bertram said about them coming back to an area, an unknown feeding ground in order to feed and then leave again, definitely seems to hold water. But between Dr. Naruhito and Lieutenant Ori, you start postulating on these creatures, from what the survivors are saying and from what you've witnessed yourselves. They definitely seem very organized and acting in concert, which suggests, and the fact that you also came across a very large structure in space that, again, Bertram postulated could be their means of propelling themselves through space en masse, maybe, suggests some kind of migratory element, perhaps, to these creatures. But moreover, Dr. Naruhito introduces the idea that they act in concert very, very well, which suggests a hive-like organization. And it's at that point that both Ori and Naruhito come to the very strong idea of, well, wait a minute, if they're acting in concert like any hive collective would, whether or not they communicate pheromonally, telepathically, or just as likely from what you've seen of them via electromagnetic pulse, then that means there has to be a controlling element to all of this. Something like maybe a queen? And this is where I divert us back now to space. Space. Want to go to space. So, the Carpathia travels out from, manages to break atmosphere and hasn't been attacked or accosted in any way by the creatures, and manages to successfully dock with the Navis. So the medical personnel and any and everybody who can be spared is already there waiting in the shuttle bay to greet the Carpathia, which means that Bertram's staff can get to work very easily, giving people a cursory scan, putting them onto zero-G stretchers, and getting everybody to the medical decks as quickly as possible. This is probably the first time that your staff, Bertram, have had the chance to use the full extent of the medical suite that is available to the Navis as is, because technically you have 2 decks dedicated to medical. So this is the first time you actually get to use these suites entire. So
Yeah,
this
Deck
is
2 is not just drunken Klingon Bay.
actually, if we
Yeah,
remember,
that's
what's the deck layout again? There's actually there's an entertainment deck, Deck 10, but you have got, where is?
Yeah, Bertram went there once. There were no lecture halls. What's so entertaining about this? It's just holodeck suites and places to get drunk.
Right, so Deck 6 has the science labs. Deck 7 has the surgery suites 1 to 3, quarantine, decontamination chamber, diagnostic labs, and there's actually a transporter in there. Surgical recovery rooms, surgery waiting rooms, so those can all get used. But also on Deck 8 there is a medical bay and a 65-bed capacity recovery area, as well as a clinic and doctor's offices. So yeah, you have got tons of space with which to allocate all of these people. So they are going to be very nicely sent to decks. What is it now? That's decks 7 and 8 are going to see a lot of activity. So all those drills that you've been doing with emergency medical situations and speeding people to the different suites and whatnot is going to be paying off dividends now.
Now they're in what I like to call my domain.
So, Captain Andrews at this point, who has been in the captain's chair, just receiving the odd report now and then over what's going on. You have actually. Let's quickly go to the bridge in order to see who's about. So we got these guys are the away team. So we've got Hello on helm. Vibers is elsewhere at the moment. Thazanan's only visiting. Edwards is going to be piloting one of the shuttles, we've said. Bravo Security is going to be dealing with Carpathia's weapon systems if needs be, and Keth can use the Carpathia's. Could be the Carpathia's engineer. Nova is down on planet, as is Ori. So we've got folks allocated nicely. Nurse Nuteeth and Nurse Bravo, of course, where the rest of this sickbay team are going to be working overtime. But the captain, who have we got waiting around? We've got both our tactical officers. We've got Mono, who's going to be taking primary science at the moment. We've got Cursed. Okay, so we've still got a decent amount of people. Eric can probably be there. Engineering has got an extra slot by there, but we've got everybody else from engineering here. Okay, cool. And by the way, I would just like to drag people's attention to a certain low-scale change that I made. I've actually given Lechude his own token. At last.
No!
Yeah.
No!
What happened to his helmet?
Yeah, what happened to his helmet?
Doesn't always need to have the helmet on. I mean, look at that quiff. The helmet was there to carefully manage his hair.
It's the end of an era.
I do like that the Snidely Whiplash mustache.
So the mustache grew 3 sizes up.
He's looked like he's about a dogfight over the Somme.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Hashtag not my attitude.
That's a mustache. Oh my.
So did he use the transporter to transport his moustache into the correct position, despite Andrews continually telling him not to? And if not, why not?
There are no records of such a thing.
In any case,
The
We got
records are
transported
maintained
to
by
checkpoints.
Lieutenant McCoon.
okay. I take it, but Bertram is kind of going to be staying on the Navis, I would say, because now the rest of the evacuees are all going to be people who have been judged medically able to come back on their own. So,
Yep,
in all likelihood,
unless,
Bertram is going to be...
Vibers wants me to go back down.
Unless Vibers wants him to go back down. Or rather, the captain. Because Vibers is currently down.
If the most critically injured have been evacuated, I don't see the need for the doctor to go back. The doctor's job is now to look after the patients.
Cool. I shall go make sure everything's going alright on my 2 decks.
I have 2 decks!
He's eyeing up a third. He's going to invade different places.
It's why I annoyed Latude by calling Gregory 1 deck Latude.
Well, the entertainment deck can be turned into a backup sickbay. You just have to set all the holodecks to sickbay mode.
Let's also note that technically Bertram has an entire section of the Arboretum. That's his. So, there you go. In any case, I want to bring focus's attention to after the Carpathia lands in the shuttle bay and disgorges all of its occupants to sickbay. That is when Lieutenant Mono on sensors, as well as Claude and Ensign Eric, both on tactical, also can confirm this. There is a electromagnetic surge in the system going on, and it's getting closer. And that's when we jump back to here, and the spaceborne structure lumbers into orbit. As it does, you get another alert which indicates that there is a huge buildup of multiple EM signatures, as all of a sudden a great mass of creatures disgorges from the structure and starts to proceed down towards the planet's atmosphere, amongst which is an extremely large specimen.
This is good news.
It's proceeding down to the planet as the
Kraken.
Yes, indeed. So,
That's going to make a rescue attempt rather more difficult.
yes, indeed. And it seems that they are zeroing in on the mine, the shelter.
Not going
Probably
yeah.
because it is the largest deposit of dilithium on the entire planet. And they are proceeding down en masse. So,
It's a friendship mission.
they're looking to come down and make friends. So, what
Yeah.
would you like to do?
Make friends.
Make friends.
Okay,
Well,
if they've got a hive-like structure, then the Queen's the linchpin. If we take the Queen out, anything could happen. They could go full-on frenzy mode in sort of rage and that.
Depends if it's going to be a distraction or not. Because
If we could somehow divert the Queen away long enough for the shuttles to go down there, pick up the people, get off, and then pick them up and get the hell out of
We
here.
have on the ship. That's the only thing that they're going to go for, so we have to basically eject our stores.
But I told you, if we could use the techniques that we developed earlier to disrupt the sort of like the electromagnetic or that they use to propel themselves, they might then actually come after the ship. If the ship can then lead them away, it might give the shuttlecrafts enough time to get everyone else off the planet.
what do other people
The
think?
only the downside is, of course, we're putting the Navis in danger. Although you
Also
could
don't-
argue that that's kind of what we're here for, to
Don't
put
the
ourselves in
small ships-
danger to rescue the Federation citizens.
Don't the small ships though have to come back to the Navis in order to drop
No.
off them?
No, shuttles and
Runabouts.
who have warp capability.
So basically just take a runner.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, though, the Oort cloud at the system's edge is a navigational hazard. So they can't really hit warp until they're past the Oort cloud, which means that the Carpathia and the shuttles would need to be given time enough to not only get off the ground, but get out of the atmosphere and get past the system's edge and slowly navigate the Oort cloud.
But I think they've got more chance of surviving that, even if it takes a while, than they do getting through that cloud of that amount of creatures. Plus, if that is indeed their queen, chances are the creatures accompanying them are basically proper warrior caste ones.
Yeah, it's like a colony.
Yeah.
Okay, we can antagonise the queen. Do we want to fire a photon? Not at it, but to disrupt. Well, we know the energy signatures that it's putting out.
Yeah.
So an anti photon. Because then that will definitely encourage the warriors to come after the Navis, and then we play catch the mouse.
Yeah.
Or cat and mouse.
Can we use the Navis's ability to sort of disrupt it over a wide area temporarily?
Yeah.
It's a thing of we do need the queen basically to be moving away with us, and it's possible if we just fire a couple of torpedoes or phases, they may just send some of their warriors out to take on us while the queen and the rest move down. Whereas if we can actually disrupt in a large area and maybe kind of track to beam the queen just a little way away, that way we can make sure that the whole horde's attention is on us and not on the planet until we've got people down out of there.
Alright then, folks, what do we think? Distraction using the Navis while everyone else gets going and try and use the disruption things you've used so far, or
Are we incapable of deciphering their communication?
so far, yes.
Bear in mind, we have no way of knowing. They may not even be sentient. They may just essentially be star whales.
Whales
Or
are
at least-
intelligent.
Well, that's a good point. Whether or not they're reacting.
Are you talking about that old wives' story about the Enterprise going back and saving a whale from the 1980s to communicate with some alien probe that was going to destroy Earth? I seriously don't
is
believe
it
Kirk ever
canon?
did that. I don't
And
believe
here
for
I
a moment
thought
Kirk ever did that.
And here I thought you were talking about that weird country with a city called Cardiff in it. Because we're not sure that's sentient. We'll figure that one out later.
I mean, it's probably likely they're using electro-magnetic communication of some type.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what if they had some sort of group synaptic connection, which would account for the Hive?
Interesting thought.
Then it's a matter of deciphering the neurochemical or neuroelectrical signals they're sending to each other. Guess we don't have to do that.
I'd love to do that. I just don't think we have. I don't think we're going to be able to do it before they get to the mine and attack our people.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it wasn't for that time limit, I'd totally be with you on that, away.
You can hold it as a backup plan, mind you, but we will see
Yeah.
what happens when we get there. So yes, the more time you spend deliberating, the more time the swarm has of getting down to the planet.
Well,
So
here's the thing: I could be working on that theory because
yes,
he's on planet.
exactly. Exactly. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that as regards to the current situation with the squid swarm coming down on the planet, could be considered maybe a secondary objective, but nonetheless a very important one. So, what are we doing then? The shuttles and the Carpathia can launch, but of course there's the squid between them and getting to the area. Now you will get reports from Vibers and from Ori as well, who are down there, that the squid are approaching, and therefore the defensive systems of the shelter are activating, but you've only got a pair of phaser turrets, and the power systems aren't all that stable.
How clear of a signal can we get through the transport for the pattern of the ship?
Like I said, there's still enough EM interference in the atmosphere that transporting people is dangerous. But now that there are more creatures that propel themselves using electromagnetism coming down through the atmosphere, the interference is about to get a hell of a lot worse. So the situation is complicating itself. Transporters are going to become very difficult to use. So, what's the first plan at helping save the people who are currently in the settlement?
Is get the queen out. Get the queen out of there.
Get the queen. Divert the queen's attention. Okay.
Yeah. Because if the queen suddenly feels like she's being threatened, the worker or the warrior ants will return to the.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay.
Behind.
Yep.
All right. We all good with that?
Yep.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
So the first thing we're going to do is move the Navis and start getting an expression of getting their attention. So Thazanan is piloting the Carpathia, which means Lenny is on helm, with Nova down on planet, helping with keeping the power system operational. That means Hello is on operations for the Navis. We've still got Claught on tactical, we've still got Bravo as the Bravo Chief Engineer, and we've got the Captain herself doing whatever it is the Captain needs to do to fill in whatever space needs filling in. So...
You're not stepping on my keyboard.
I suppose one of the first things we need to do is to get Bravo Chief Engineer to action some of the... or maybe even Unit Hello to action the changes to the weapon systems to give off the EM interference, just like you did with the Carpathia, but on a bigger scale. So, who do we think is better suited for that? It's Bravo or Hello? I mean, technically he's got Nova operations training, which is an interesting definition in and of itself, but he's mostly for damage control and repair and power management and computer use, so... Whereas Chief Bravo is more about power systems, warp fields, damage control, and team management. So neither of them have really got anything that suggests tinkering with existing systems, doing something that's new. So Hello's engineering is at 4, Chief Bravo's of course is at 5. So it would make some sense that Chief Bravo would be the one to modify the phaser systems. In that case, can I get... I mean, Davis Bravo's usually your boy. If you want to get me a...
What are you after?
Can we get a reason and engineering out of him, please, so that he can modify the phaser systems? I'm going to make this difficulty 2 because you've already had one use of it confirmed. But you're having to build it into the extremely complex systems of the Navis.
Definitely involving electroplasm. Very good. Right. Are we getting any...
Doesn't sound like there's any foci.
I'm trying to remember what... Well, foci, I'm going to pull an EPS, which I wanted to change it to stable.
Okay.
Alright, okay.
It's a bit of a loose one, but monkeying with the power systems is close enough.
I can't remember what the chief engineer actually does.
Chief Engineer basically gives him an advantage, which represents him using his complement of engineers and technicians. So in this case, he could actually employ it, which would mean that anything that he needs to use his entire ship's complement of extra engineers can be utilized, which would include modifying the phaser systems. So I'll take that down from a 2 to a 1 in that case.
Can we go for phasers rather than torpedoes?
Are you going for phasers rather than torpedoes? Is a very good question, considering you've got quantum torpedoes.
But quantum torpedoes be made to spread the effect in a wide area.
That's a good thought.
So we don't specifically want to be actually hitting them. We want to be disrupting the order that they pull out to affect their propulsion, both to actually slow them down on the way to the planet and to actually get their attention on us.
What I will say in that regard is anybody with any operational knowledge of how the weapon systems work is that quantum torpedoes are pretty hefty and nasty in that they basically imbalance subspace, I believe, due to the weird reaction that goes within them that makes them that much more devastating. But a ship's phaser array should have... Yes, it does. It does have the area quality to it. So if you employed its wide area beam...
Yeah.
The other one is if we use it on the phasers, you'll get more than one shot out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Oh, that looks good. That looks very, very good. Well done, Chief Bravo.
I don't think the hologrammatic torpedoes are that helpful at the moment, but if you need a decoy to confuse the Queen with, we've got them.
Do you want the mines as well?
There are the sound mines, but
you
it would take
joke
some
about the mine, but they could actually be handy.
Actually be very handy at this moment in time.
They would take a bit of time to configure because these aren't... The sound mines are usually configured to identify a ship and then hack into the ship's systems.
Them. They can be a sound. They can produce a source of sound as well, can't they?
They can. Go on, sorry.
No. Continue.
The way that the sound ones operate is that... well, actually, that's a good point. They can't project sound in space, but they work by hacking into a ship system and using its own communication system to deliver the sound blast.
The one I'm wondering if you can set up on the fly is, could you set up some sort of depth charges?
Well, that would be more a quantum torpedo job.
Drop them into the atmosphere and make it set up shockwaves that'll shake them up.
Well, now we're branching into possible alternative plans of attack. So now I'm going to ask you for which plan of attack are you going for here?
I think phasers is probably better plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have just modified the phasers. We are still going with the phasers. So, unless any other preparation wants to happen, it's time to shoot phasers. So, if I can get... let me see. Jan, if you could be the Navis for me, please. And because Captain Andrews is such a fangirl of Claude, let's have Webby be Claude. Control and security for use of shipboard tactical systems and weapons. I'm going to go weapons and kind of science here for the Navis. Because you are seeking to use it in a disruptive fashion rather than attacking fashion. Luckily, the science rating for the Navis is the same as its security. So, but we'll still use phaser arrays for overall effect. So, the distance to the atmosphere is going to make this a difficulty 3 kind of job.
Could the captain not replace the crew?
If you want the captain to replace Claude, or if you want the captain to assist Claude as well, or the other way around, it's entirely up to you. That's the Navis with 1 success. Preservation of life, so remember to make note that you've used that value.
Control and security.
Control and security, please. Right, 2 successes there. So since you rolled 1 dice, I'm guessing Claude is being primary?
Oh, I thought Caval was being involved in it, so...
Caval, not so much. Caval is elsewhere.
Oh, Caval was the ship, sorry.
Yeah, Jan was the ship. Caval is going to be piloting the Carpathia. So let's have Sean. Could you roll Claude for me, please? Control and security, please, with a focus on starship weapon systems. 15s, both of which are successes. Nice. All right then. Thankfully, with all of those successes, that is a very, very definitive. So, I'm going to ask for Jan to please roll for the Navis's phaser array damage to see what kind of effect we have. What we're looking for is effects on the dice, rather than the actual dice dots themselves. Was it just 3? Alright.
Phaser arrays are just 3.
Phaser array should be 9. There.
I clicked on the thingy.
Okay, let me
The
check. Let me
combat.
check. Oh wait.
Did you fire off at the,
When I
Navis
opened it,
Navis?
it came back as 0. That's not right. Something finicky is going on here, folks. Let's beg your indulgence. Right. If I try it, let's see if it does the same thing. Yes, it does the same thing, which means it's working off of the security rating, which means it's effectively 0.
So I'll just roll challenge that. Of
Phaser
9, I guess.
Well, hang on, let me get this back a second. Phaser, ooh. Phaser arrays are 0. That can't be right. Alright, so your scale is 6. Plus that is 9. So 0. Can't be 0 though, surely. Phaser banks have got 1, so it's got to be at least 1. Let's see if that makes a difference. Phaser arrays 1. That's probably what it should be. Right, if we roll that again, that's still only rolling 4. Curious. It's only rolling the ship damage dice and security, and it's not including the scale. Alright then, yes. Jan, if you could roll me the extra 6 challenge dice, please. Something screwy's going on here, folks. We'll be right with you. Oh dear, were those all blanks? No.
Not
3 effects.
3.
So on top of the ones you rolled before, that was 4 effects in total with 6 successes. And you were aiming for the Queen, but as getting as wide angle a beam as you possibly could?
Yep.
Alright. Nice, nice, nice. So let's have the wide angle. So that many effects means that you affect a good... Let's see, 1 extra beyond the one closest, and then an extra 4 around, so that's pretty good. 6 in total, that is a 3. You definitely got their attention. I'm also going to spread that around the near periphery. Because there are apparently creatures that are sticking very close. Closer than the others. They are sticking very, very closely to the Queen. So that assault and that disruption means that the Queen herself starts to stutter and can't fly as well or as fast, which means that the swarm is now diverting others in the direction of the Navis, but there are smaller ones that are continuing their path down towards the settlement. So at the very least, you've drawn off what look to be like the warrior caste, you think, and they are inbound But it seems at the moment the ones surrounding the Queen and the Queen herself are more concerned with trying to get back their flight control, almost. Now, this doesn't exactly give Fazanan and Edwards a clear path. So, what would you guys like to do on your descent down? Do you want to try and take on some of these squids? Or would you like to maybe, since the shuttlecraft don't really have big armaments as such, but they do have some, you could potentially form an attack wing of some sort to try and take on the squid that are going down, or what? What's any ideas?
I think our priority should be to get to the planet.
Do you want to...
A base move is to get through and then load up.
Okay, cool. So I'm effectively treating you as a flight wing in and of yourselves. So if Caval can give me control and con, and Edwards can assist, we'll assume... Go on, sorry.
Sorry, just could we quick launch the Samson to follow them in?
We quickly launch the Samson to follow them in. Okay.
Who's going to fly it?
We're going to have to assume standard crewman. So the Samson's priority is to move in with and cover the shuttles and the Carpathia, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to be a bit behind, so they won't get there immediately.
Well,
But
you'll dive faster. It's designed to enter the atmosphere quicker than the shuttle and the runabout.
Okay. So Edwards is assisting. Can I have control and con from Fazanan, please? To see how good your evasive patterns are. Legion of Honor, gaining 2 bonus momentum.
I'll use a momentum for this task as well.
Okay. Five successes, my god. Okay, so, yes, with the two of you cooperating and trying to keep an evasive pattern, you maintain your wing coherence as you dodge your way around the squids who are making their way towards the settlement. So you manage to evade them as they notice you coming in. They seem to be pretty much concentrating on the idea of getting to the settlement, so not many of them actually break off and attack as they sense you coming towards them. Although 1 or 2 of them do seem to break off more out of... Well, actually no, it's unclear. But your guess, probably because they sense you coming. So you do manage to get around them without taking any fire as such, and so you can try and outpace them to get your shuttles down to the settlement as quickly as possible. With that in mind, back down to the settlement. Now we've got Ori and Nova and Vibers here. An alarm starts sounding in the shelter, and people get very nervous as they suddenly notice that the mounted phaser cannons all of a sudden click up and activate and start pointing themselves upwards, suggesting that their onboard targeting systems have detected incoming threat. So, is there anything Ori, Nova, and Vibers would like to try and do now that you know that they are incoming? Like I said before, you've got minor shields, you have got functioning phaser cannons. They have been calibrated to disrupt the EM fields of these creatures, but if there's anything else you guys fancy trying...
Not killing them?
Well, yes, there's that.
Alright, Nova, here's a comm unit. See what you can work out. I'll try and keep everybody calm so we can get a quick exit.
Okay.
Unless anyone's got any other ideas.
Yeah. When you suggest not killing them very loudly, Dr. Naruhito definitely jumps up and says, I agree, this is an entirely new species, we can't just willy-nilly exterminate them. But then the the other lady, whose name I have briefly forgotten, Elise Russell, jumps in and says, yes, but if we've got these things are aggressive and they're going to kill us if they find us here. We can't just do nothing.
This, we'll tread the fine line and we'll try and get everybody out of this alive.
Okay.
That's what
How?
the captain kept telling me.
If
So,
we've got
get
incoming...
your people ready for evac. Get
Who's
them
your
as...
captain? Jesus, I wouldn't trust that.
I know, right? Weird person. But hey, they don't know that.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to ask for Vibers to give me a presence and command check again to see if he can keep people calm and orderly. In the meantime, is there anything Nova and Ori fancy doing that might increase their chances? I mean, Nova did very well with that big empathic, telepathic friend blast, so I don't know if you fancy trying that again as maybe to try and keep them from attacking. It might take a good bit of effort, and Ori could certainly help, but it would be pushing both of their empathic abilities to the limit, really.
Well, yeah, and we know like the frequency that telepathic and empathic abilities would operate on, right? Like
It's
I mean, there's going to be a physics frequency.
technically, yes, psionic energy has been a considered scientific
Could that
energy
be
type because
amplified or modified using whatever the shuttle has or on our tricorders.
that's a good point. You were just given a communication module to try and do something with.
Right.
It's gonna require some seriously wonky, jiggery, pokery, and Trek talk to
We got the
to modify a comm device to emit to magnify a psionic broadcast. But considering that before now Nova has managed to basically rewire an entire ship's nacelle to work using non-Euclidean geometry, this point, game for try anything. If that's the way you want to go.
It's just a Tuesday for Nova.
I am going to say that this is going to carry a certain amount of risk for both Nova and Ori, because you're going to be, like I said, pushing the limits of your abilities here, so this will...
science.
Well, yes, so this will carry with it an increased complication range of 2, I think, and I am going to make it difficulty 2 to modify the comm device, and then I'm going to make it difficulty 3 to hold back the Horde.
Okay.
You've got rapid hypothesis. When you ask 2 or more questions using obtained information, immediately create an advantage. Okay, so if you use, I think it's 2 momentum to obtain information, which essentially you've just done, you can now obtain, immediately create an advantage. So, let me think. You're basically working on the hypothesis of psionic energy, amplifying psionic energy. So, let me think. This is going to be definitely reason and science.
He also has quantum physics, holography.
Yes!
May not sound useful, but that's basically using energy to...
Okay, I'll go with that. Nova, I'm going to definitely go on empathy projection, because you're literally going for that now, so... Reason...
Hey, is Nova willing to take this risk?
Well, I weren't going to say nothing, but I thought this was totally up my opinion of Nova's bag, as it were, so, yep, okay, cool. So we're modifying the comm system first. That's going to be reason and engineering from both, please.
Alright, can I assist?
Absolutely. It makes more sense for Ori to assist than it does to take charge in this situation.
Okay, any focus I can use?
Let's go with your quantum physics for now.
Okay.
So if I can have 1 dice from Ori, 2 dice from Nova, please. 1 success. And 3 successes. Good griefy goo. So that's a whole heap of momentum back. Which
Lieutenant
brings us...
Commander Nova.
Well, yeah, quite. Okay, so using methods that Ori is trying to follow along with what Nova's doing to this comm device in order to magnify the psionic broadcast you're about to attempt. At a certain point, Ori just gives up trying to understand it and just goes, you know what? I'm just going to trust that it's going to work. He's getting a slight headache just looking at what Nova's doing. Nevertheless, we've definitely succeeded, which means you've created an advantage to do with this new psionic broadcast now, which will bring its difficulty down. So now it's going to be insight and command from both Ori and Nova, probably Nova leading again. Ori, I don't think there is a focus you can use here, but there's definitely empathy projection for Nova. Difficulty 2 now. And the more successes you can get, the stronger this is going to be. But remember, the complication range is up by 2. Oh yes.
So change complication range to 2.
Please.
Okay. And can I use xenoanthropology?
Not in... no, because to you this isn't Xeno. As such.
Alright.
Again, we'll just go with quantum physics. Because, you know, space magic.
I didn't use a thing.
Okay, that's fine. But if we did use space magic, then you wouldn't have got 2 successes anyway, so that's fine. The Distinguished Service Medal is going to select a single focus, yep. And for that and the Star Cross. And we've done the impossible, and that makes us mighty. Good grief, throwing it all in, I like. Remember to note that you've used that value. And once permission, when you spend a point of determination that involves that focus, you receive 2 of the benefits. Good lordy boo. Alright. Let's do it!
Ooh.
So,
extra.
that's actually fun. Right. Okay, so from Vibers and the point of view of everybody down in the settlement, Ori and Nova set up just within the landing pad as no, it won't be on the landing pad because now you've got the Carpathia and the shuttles coming in. 7 successes, I know. Woof. So as the phaser towers kind of rise up and start tracking enemy signatures, you see the Carpathia and the shuttles coming in at high speed, looking to dock as quickly as possible. But behind them, very close, is a good dozen or more of these squid creatures who are just proceeding straight towards the opening in the docking port. And just as the Carpathia and the shuttles land, the people are being kept as calm as Vibers can possibly make them, which of course becomes that much more difficult when they see the squids coming in. But just as the squids are about to start coming within weapons range of the phaser turrets, Ori and Nova let out this massive psionic broadcast, and it seems to stop them in their tracks. Very. So it looks like.
Defense, hold your fire.
Yep. It looks like from those who are watching, I mean, at the moment, Ori and Nova are just straining to keep focus on what they're doing and broadcast this. But Vibers Go on, sorry.
No, it's just Sean posting in the Discord.
Okay. Vipers, meanwhile, is there just watching these creatures as they seem to be. They seem to be uncertain. At one moment they're trying to get back inside, but then they're then changing their mind. So it's like you would kind of equate it to like some kind of automated defense system getting two conflicting orders coming through. One saying stand down, one saying attack. So these squids at the moment are kind of paused in indecision.
Let's take advantage of this and get people loaded on shuttles as soon as they touch the ground as quick as possible and then get out of here.
Cool. So whilst people are boarding the Carpathia and the shuttlecraft, that's when the Samson makes atmospheric entry, and the Samson was there to try and cover the evacuating craft, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, in the meantime, you now have squids, including the Queen, making their way towards the Navis. What is the Navis going to be doing?
Deliberately keeping out of range.
Okay.
Continually to bait at them.
Continuously trying to phase of fire to disrupt them, but keep drawing their attention to draw them away.
Yeah.
Alright. I am going to make...
Also I think we should have the dark matter drive online just in case it starts getting a little too hairy.
Okay. So I'm going to go
But
with...
we do play cat and mouse in the system, so we deliberately then appear on the opposite side of the planet.
Okay, so I am going to be doing this for 3 separate creatures. So this is going to be technically 3 dice. 4 successes, and include the Squid Queen on that. Ooh, hello. I forgot about that. What is this? Oh no, it's a focus. No, that's a good point, actually. I will use that focus. Right. 6 successes in total. So as the Queen and her entourage are making their way towards the Navis, and the Navis is trying to keep respectable distance in order to keep drawing them in, but not make them make the Navis overwhelmed, all of a sudden a big power output is detected from the Queen, which then filters out through the rest of the soldiers. You may as well say, as they start doing pretty much what the spaceborne structure was doing. They start flinging plasma bursts out in clustered explosions that are too difficult for the Navis to evade them all. So I have accumulated 6 successes. I was going to make it more difficult for them to hit the Navis due to the EM interference that you've made. So it's gone from 2 to 3 for that. The distance also makes it that. But with that many successes, we have got 6. We got 2 over, which means... that and 2 more. Alright, so this massive bombardment of plasma bolts comes streaking in, and overall they had no real impact against the ship's superstructure whatsoever. What they did do was knock down power by 2, 4, 6. So the shields managed to not go down during that, but the overall drainage on the Navis's power systems were quite extensive. You're down to 50% power now. Okay, so the Samson is going to give everyone else cover. Nova and Ori are straining to hold back the Hive still, which means I am going to inflict 2... No.
Well,
one in effect. Okay. Nova and Ori each take a stress point, but the effect will be... let me think. Alright, I am going to need both Ori and Nova to do that same check again, but this is to maintain it. The difficulty is lower. It's down to 2. So between the two of you should manage it as long as there are no complications, but I will keep the complication range at 2. So if I can have the same insight and command checks from the two of you, please. No foci for Ori this time, but empathic... your empathy projection focus for Nova, please. Well done, Ori. So, Sean, if I can have the 2 dice from you from Insight and Command, please.
You can see me right back.
Oh, okay. So, can I have Gareth be Nova in this case, please?
Okay. What, my roll Insight?
Insight and Command with focus of empathy projection.
2 successes.
3 successes, which means you've got 1 over and above what you needed. So cool. For the moment, Nova and Ori are holding them back, but it is starting to seriously hurt. So both of you have now got bleeding noses. Vibers, however, is now coordinating folks getting onto the Carpathia and the shuttles. So I need you to give me a presence and command check to get everybody on board quickly and safely.
Okay.
And that includes Ori and Nova.
I used a free lifetime event earlier, so I have a focus in this for this episode.
Strangely, one of your previous hosts had the focus in manage evacuation. Oh, you rolled a 1!
Actually, it was keeping people organised and Klingons away from alcohol before the signing.
Alright, so that means...
Herding cats, same thing.
Yep. Ori, Nova, and Vipers are on board the next shipment going up as well, which means we now need Edwards and Fazanan to once again give us coordinated liftoff in order to get through the squids without banging into them, because they are now an obstruction.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's all on Fazanan's lead.
I'll use my final Legion of Honor.
Okay. Difficulty for this is going to be...
Can use it.
3. So unfortunately, Edwards is not going to have any help there.
Well, it'll take 1 momentum from the pool. Oh.
Nice. It's very, very nice. Exactly what you needed. So, even with all of these squid kind of crowding around, making an obstacle, you do manage to fly through them, and following Fazanan's lead, Edwards and the other shuttle pilot managed to successfully get the shuttles through as well, which means you managed to make atmosphere. Nova and Ori are still hanging on for dear life with the holding the squids back. But it's up to you whether or not you want to relinquish that, because the Samson can now fly in formation with the shuttles and the runabout to try and keep the squids away. This does now bring to mind what is going to happen. Are you sticking to the plan of not having these guys dock with the Navis and get away on their own?
I think it depends on the situation. If they're under threat, then the Navis will obviously have to...
Because at the moment you've got the Queen and all of her soldiers kind of angrily coming up to you, which brings to mind what the Navis guys, the guys on the main ship, want to do.
I was thinking of something.
Go on.
We got a sample of the plasma.
Yeah.
I think it was established that we had to create a magnetic field to contain it.
Yes.
Because magnetic fields can be used to manipulate plasma. If I can get the exact readings, if we can see that this plasma kind of resonates and has its effect on, Can I try and actually get the readers we might need to create a magnetic field around or through the hull to try and repel at least some of the plasmas bombarding us to reduce the amount of energy it hits us with?
So, is this Bertram coming up with the citate, or is this Gareth? Because Bertram might be
Probably
busy.
both.
Probably a bit of both. Okay, so whilst he's busy,
Yeah.
he sends a message up saying, "Can you do this?" Okay, that sounds.
I'm thinking more like Bertram might think of it because he has a sample of that plasma he's been running scans on.
Yeah, which means somebody in science can do something with that. So,
Yeah.
let's.
But to be honest, I've been sitting on this balance of science and nature discipline and using technology to combat the effects of space squid. If I don't use it now, I'll never forgive myself.
So let's have Bertram and maybe Mono.
Yep.
Because Mono has got astrological phenomena, which might help.
Yeah.
Which means, Mike, you can be your boy Mono, and Gareth, you can be Bertram, taking the lead on this. So let's go with Reason and Science for Mono, 1 dice with astrological phenomena, and Reason and Medicine for Doc Bertram, using what you were going to use, including a balance of science and nature.
Yeah.
Remember to make a note of that in your log.
I will. So xenobiology work on this, or is it more I'm going to be focused less because this plasma?
No, xenobiology will do
biology.
because it was a xenobiological emanation.
Oh well.
3
Like that.
successes? Yay!
That was what I wanted you to get on the money. So, okay, you can now create kind of magnetic repulsion effect in the shields. Okay. Alright. We'll make note of that. So, Captain, what do we want the Navis to now do? The sensors indicate that the Carpathia and the shuttles and the Samson are now making... they're leaving the atmosphere. You've still got the attention of the Squid Queen and her soldiers.
I mean, or I would keep trying to.
Yeah, Ori and Nova are very much keeping up their...
Yeah.
In fact, let's have both of them take another point of stress, because as soon as they're out of the area, the squids resume attack. But funnily enough, the squid drones who went down to the shelter are staying there. What you're having to face is that there's still swarms in the upper atmosphere. So you're just about barely keeping them back with effort. So there's kind of like a localized area of friend going on. But for how much longer, you're not sure how long you can contain that for. So Andrews and the Navis, what are you guys intending to do this turn? I mean, the shuttles, the evacuees are on their way out. What would you like to do?
I think we bait so that we potentially move the Navis kind of over here and then open fire again so that the shuttle and the Carpathia and all that can just carry on.
So you basically want to move the Navis in the opposite direction from where the Carpathia and the rest of the convoy are going to be breaking out from. Okay.
Yes.
So one last attempt to try and bait them out then. So let's think. You're going to be essentially taking an aggressive stance and doing the same thing again. So repeat what you did last time then? Basically,
Yeah.
fire to interfere with so that you can keep their attention on you, and yeah, move the Navis up this kind of way. So I'll keep the crew there for ease of reference. Doop. So yeah, basically, let's have... I mean, is it going to be Clawton Andrews again, or...?
Yeah, for the weapons, I think so, it's best.
Okay, so if we can have... Sean, you back? Nope. Oh, muted. Sean's muted. Okay, so in this case, can I have? Jan, if you can be Claude this time. Webby be Andrews, and can I have? Because it rhymes and it's funny, Davis be the Navis. So
Okay,
control and
what we
security from the characters, but weapons and science from the Navis.
One dice for the Navis.
1 dice for the Navis, yes.
Does the Starship Weapon Systems count as a focus?
Yes, I think it does. So there's, from the Navis, there's no support there from Claude, so it's all down to Andrews. 2 dice from Andrews, please, Webby.
I can burn another determination, can't I?
You can certainly try. That will be all 5 dice. Hold the line! I like it. Remember to make note that you've used that value as well later. Some sauce, look at that. So, letting fly again. So, Davis, roll me 9 challenge dice, please. Why that went all screwy. There we go. Ooh, there we are. That's what we were after. Effects. 1, 2, 3 of them. 8 successes, 3 effects, wide angle beam. 8 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, you managed to hit the Queen and some of the others, which has heaved them off. And definitely kept their attention. Wide angle beam, the dispersal, so you got what they wanted. Okay. So, eventually, the Navis gets the a short burst comm from the Carpathia, saying that the Carpathia, the Samson, and the 2 shuttles have managed to make the edge of the system and are ready to warp out. They have received no interference from the squids at all. After they broke from the planet's atmosphere, no squids actually followed them because it seemed all the ones in orbit were very much concentrating on the Navis. The Navis takes a couple of more glancing blows, but thanks to the suggested plasma repulsion from Doc Bertram and Monod, well, mostly Bertram, as a result, the Navis is able to... I mean, Monod helped in his own little way, but it was mostly Bertram's idea, so... the Navis is able to hold on a lot longer and therefore take less in power damage from the ship, from the squids. So when you get the notice that the convoy, the evacuation convoy, is ready to warp out, I take it you yourselves warp out? Or, you know, use the Bifrost drive to just jump out.
I can't think of any reason we want to stick around, to be honest.
I think unless we want to get some additional scans of them, especially while they're in a weakened state, it may help us to understand them a bit more.
Okay, then I will allow you one last biological scan, which sounds like it's something that Bertram should really do, assisted by the Navis's sensors and science. So, Webby, if you could let me, since it was your idea as well, sensors and science from the Navis, please. Yep. Whilst Gareth gives me, yes, thirst for knowledge.
I may as well burn my last determination.
Give me control and medicine from Bertram, please, to utilise external sensors. Ooh, hello, complication. Legion of Honor.
Yeah.
Did I doubt it any other way? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No complication gets in the way of my research. I mean, the greater scientific good.
All right. So the Navis gets a good old scan of the Queen and some of the soldier breed of squids. As you're about to break orbit and activate the Bifrost drive, you've got, thanks to the magnetic repulsion effect going on in the shields, you have enough power left to actually safely use the Bifrost drive, with a little bit left over from when you eventually exit your jump. You do eventually rendezvous with the Carpathia and the rest of the evacuation convoy. Everybody seems fine. Nova and Ori require a bit of medical attention. Not serious, but they did have to push their empathic, telepathic abilities pretty hard there. And as a result, there is some scarring of that area of the brain. Nothing that can't be healed, but they will both be suffering from migraines for the next couple of days, and so should be taken off of active rotation for a bit.
Bertram will heal that for them.
Yes. Overall, the situation is that you have successfully managed to evacuate everybody from the planet. The immense downside of this is that you have had to effectively leave a vast dilithium deposit for a dilithium munching life form to basically have its way with the planet and eat at those reserves. Now, with the information that you have uncovered, there is the good hope that they may very well do what has been suggested, which is they will only eat as much as they need for however long that takes them to do that, and then maybe they will migrate on. But you have taken a good degree of biological and other sensory data about this new species, and looking into the libraries, the Federation has never encountered this life form before. It's a brand new species, never before encountered. So, even though the acting head of the colony was keen to defend against them a bit more vigorously, it was mostly because she was acting out of defense for her fellow colonists. Dr. Narihito, though, is now keen to go back to Starfleet Science and Medical in order to start a workup on these creatures, because maybe if there's some of these creatures out there, there might be more. It's entirely possible this might be the only colony of these spacefaring creatures, in which case it makes them very rare and therefore in need of careful study. But, of course, it goes without saying that when you do submit your mission reports, that Starfleet Command is definitely grateful that you managed to evacuate the colonists and the miners from the planet, but they're more than a little disappointed now that they've technically lost access to all of that dilithium. So that may very well have a future knock-on effect as a result of losing that rather sizable dilithium store. But, for the moment, you succeeded in your appointed mission, which was to investigate why the colony had gone silent, and you did what any moral Starfleet officer would do, which is not only did you take on this new species in as non-lethal a manner as you could possibly do by extensive study of them, you also managed to rescue Federation civilians and citizens. So you can tell that the higher-ups, they're disappointed that they've lost a material resource, what with the trouble on the border with the Dominion growing ever more tense. But, of course, they can't fault your moral fibre for doing the right thing and, evacuating the people and not exterminating the life form.
Yeah, not tactical advantage.
So, you did the best with a very complicated situation. So, all in all, you've all been commended for your actions, and as a result, the Coriolanus system is going to have to be quarantined for the time being until a safe and extensive study can be undertaken of this space squid species, for lack of a better term.
Like I said.
But as the discoverers of as the official discoverers of the species, it stands to reason that you guys can come up with a name for them, if you wish, which could be suggested in the Discord channel as much as anything else. But other than that, you have successfully managed to fulfill your mission parameters, and that means we have come to the end of this episode.
I think Nova Squids.
Nova Squids.
Nova Bertram.
The Nova Bertram squid.
Bertram would suggest Decapodpormis cosmica. Essentially cosmic squids.
There we go. So that's the official scientific name, and they can just be called Nova Bertram squids. Or no birds.
No birds.
No birds.
Yes.
Why don't we name her after first name for these two rather than surnames?
Isn't National Squid at the end?
Right, so it'd be Lloyd, Arian Lloyd Squids.
The Arian Lloyd anomalies.
I like no bird myself, but there we go. That's just me. Okay. Any final notes, comments, or the like? Or intentions carrying on from here?
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay. Then I will suggest that this is a really good place to draw our episode to a close. We'll be taking our usual between episode break. Most notably because I am myself away from next week, so there's no point doing anything next week. So the next time we should conceivably be meeting for further adventures of the Navis should be the 20th, if everybody is available for that.
Should be.
If circumstances change, of course, be sure to let us know, and we will act accordingly. But until we receive that notice, we will assume that we are going on. As for the question as to whether or not we convert over to 2nd edition, myself and the players will have maybe a little discussion about how we feel about that. But for the meantime, a certain amount of time is going to have to be taken for, at the very least, myself to get the hang of the rules. So it might not be 2 weeks' time, but you never know. Might try and go early. We'll see. We'll see how we do. In the meantime, thank you very much to my players for throwing themselves into this episode as well as they did. And, you know, we're just proof that not everything that involves tentacles is necessarily a bad time.
Yeah, it's only when it shoots plasma at you.
When it shoots plasma at you, yes, it's a different matter entirely. There we go. In that case, thank you very much to everybody who also watched. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we appeared to enjoy playing it. For those who kept up with us on YouTube in a similar fashion, if you'd like to consider giving us a like. If you want to keep up with when we do occasionally drop our videos, then consider subscribing as well. And if you do, definitely hit the all notifications, because the algorithm doesn't always send notification unless you really, really, really want it. In the meantime, thank you very much, my dudes. I will ask you to do like the Vulcans do, which is live long and prosper and engage in infinite diversity and infinite combinations. I can't think of anything vaguely humorous that Vulcans did or didn't do this time because, you know, squids.
Shoot their energy draining ink at you.
So, in that case, we will just ask that you look after yourselves, treat everybody with respect, especially in light of all the ridiculously stupid stuff that's going on in my home country at this present moment in time. So, yes, tolerance for everybody, please. In the meantime, we will see you when we see you next, so hailing frequencies are now closed.